What's up guys, welcome to another Scratch tutorial. In this video, I'll be showing you how to make a simple apple catcher game in Scratch. In this game, it has a countdown and we can move our bowl by moving our mouse, and there are normal apples falling from the sky and rotten apples. If you catch a normal apple, your score increases, and if you catch a rotten one, which are the brown ones, it decreases. And we have a high score system. So, without further ado, let's get started. So let's create a new project. We're going to call this project Apple Catcher. We are going to delete the Scratch cat, and I am going to create a new sprite, and we have an apple costume. So we're going to call this sprite Apple, and then we're going to get another sprite. We're going to call this Bowl. I have another bowl I have a costume from my backpack, and I have also, you can make this backdrop anything you want. I have my backdrop. So let's go into the bowl sprite. We're going to drag the bowl over here. We're going to get a one flag clicked. We want to broadcast the countdown. But first we need to go to x0, y -152. And we need to broadcast the countdown. So broadcast a new message called countdown. And wait. Make sure it's a broadcast and wait. Next we need to make the countdown sprite. So I have a countdown sprite and it has some costumes. 3, 2, 1, and go. So that's your countdown sprite. It should look like that. You want it to go to, we want it to hide, and we need to set the ghost effect to 0, and we need to set the size to 300. So we're going to get a when I receive countdown. We're going to show, and we want it to repeat 10 times. We're going to change our size by 10. And we're going to change our ghost effect by 10. And make sure we need to switch costume to 3. So let's duplicate this. And what we need to do is we're going to set ghost effect to 0, set size to 300, but we're going to switch costume to 2. And we're going to do that. And then we're going to duplicate it again. But switch costume to 1. And then finally we're going to switch costume to go. And we need to also go to 0, 0. 3, 2, 1, go. And as you can see, it's a bit fast, so I'm going to change it to 20. So if we run it now, 2, 1, go. And then we need to broadcast a message. I'm going to say broadcast spawn apples. So in the bowl sprite, we want it to get a forever loop, and we're going to say set x to mouse x. But what you can see with this is it just goes to the mouse. And that is not very professional. What I want to do is make it smooth. So instead, we're going to change x. We're going to change x by mouse x minus x position divided by 5. So now, when we move our mouse, the bowl follows our mouse but smoothly. So that makes it look more professional. So next we want the apples to spawn. And I'm going to put a hide here. So let's go into the apple sprite. We're going to say when I receive, actually when we get a when flag clicked, we need to hide it. And we also need to set our size to 50%. So we're going to say when I receive countdown, when I receive spawn apples, I'm going to get a forever loop. I'm going to get a wait second. We're going to wait 0.0 seconds to 1.0 seconds. And we're going to go to control and say create a clone of myself. Next, drag in a when I start as the clone. We need it to show. And we want the apples to fall down from the sky. So we're going to drag the apples over here. And we're going to go to X. X needs to be pick random, -100 to 100, and Y 180. And we want to create a variable. We want to make a variable called Y velocity. Make sure to select for this sprite only and then click OK. So we're going to set Y velocity to 0. And then we're going to get a repeat until loop. And I'm going to say repeat until you're touching the color brown, which is the ground. We want it to change our Y velocity by -1. And then we want to change Y by Y velocity. Oh, and also we need to put a delete this code over here. So if we try it now, apples should be spawning. And one thing we need to make sure is that we can't move our mouse because it has a broadcast spawn apples here, and that will not allow us to move our mouse. So what we need to do is keep that, but instead we need to make it so that when I receive spawn apples, we need to do that. So now apples are supposed to be spawning, and see, they can fall from the sky, and when they hit the ground, they disappear. Now our next step is to make so that the apples, when it touches the bowl, the apple disappears and the score increases. So we need to make a variable, call it score for all sprites. We're going to go to the backdrops and set our score to 0 because I like to put all the for all sprite variables in the backdrops. So next we're going to get a when I start as a clone. We need to get a forever loop. And we need to check if the apples are touching the player, which is basically the bowl. We're going to change our score by 1 and then delete the clone. So now our score increases by 1 once we touch the apples. And it deletes. So I'm going to hide the Y velocity variable and put the score variable over here. Next we want rotten apples. So let's duplicate the apple sprite, but instead we need to change this to rotten apples. So I have a rotten apple costume for my backpack. It's just basically the apple costume, but I changed it so that it's brown. So we're going to go in the code and change this up a bit. We're going to change this so it weights a random value from 1 to 2. And next we need to change it so that if it's touching the bowl, we lose a point. So it goes -1. So that is all, and let me test this out. So here's a brown apple, and as you can see, if the brown apple touches the ball, we lose a point. So that's exactly what we want. Next, we need a high score system. Now I have a high score system in my backpack. You can check the high score video, links in description, and you can see how you can use the high score variable, how to make it. You can just pause this video and copy off of this, or you can check the video out, which is in the description. So let's show the high score variable. And if you've seen the high score tutorial, you can see that if we beat the high score, if we beat the high score, the high score changes so that it's the high score that's now. So I beat the high score. It used to be 5 and now it's 24. And my score says 23 because I lost a point. So yeah. Anyways, that's how you make a simple apple catcher game. You can check the original project, links in the description. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next Scratch tutorial. Peace out.